All right, we're 2 sleeps away from the divisional round. Let's talk about it. We'll hear from Jaylen Noel. We'll talk about a factor that has been really one of the worst things to go on with D'Amico Ryans and the Texans in this round. We'll hear from Mike Vrabel. We'll peep what they're saying in Boston, and we'll also have some fun when it comes to other ways to make the game interesting. It is the Locker Room, #1 source for Texans digital content. Shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring the video. Those of you that missed the picks, this is what we went with this week on the Sleeper. We went with Xavier Hutchinson, more yards, more than. We went with Cade Stover, more than yards, which was 7.5. So Hutchinson, 30 yards receiving, more than for Cade Stover, which was 7.5. And then Josh Allen, more than 1.5 touchdown passes. And it jacked up the price. I think you get that at 7-1 on the Sleeper app. Use the promo code Locker. I want to talk about special teams. I want to talk about the advantages that the Texans have. And they've been pretty well documented when we talk about what advantages the Texans have, what advantages the Texans don't have, all that. Like, we've talked a lot about the defense versus the Patriots offense. We've talked about Will Campbell. We've talked about Drake May's legs. Like, we've talked about all these things, and we'll probably touch on those. But I want to take a close look at special teams in the divisional round for D'Amico Ryans, specifically what the Patriots have at return man, which we should know very well because he played right down the street at TDECU Stadium. By the way, shout out to TDECU for sponsoring all SNL and Locker Room playoff coverage. Go to tdecu.org/Texans, get that Texans debit card and 15% off team gear. But Marcus Jones in the Patriots return game, 2-time All-Pro. He has 2 touchdowns this year, and he's averaging 17.3 yards per return, which is incredibly good, to say the very least. It's at the top of the league, and he's really, really good. And in Frank Ross's opinion, he's the best in the game. Here's what Frank Ross had to say about him.
The pillar matchup for our entire game this week is stopping 25 Marcus Jones. So he's, in my opinion, he's the best returner in the NFL, regardless of what the kind of the Pro Bowl or the All-Pro says. It's just the dynamic skill set, because of when you run and you have to strain and it's harder to stop, like, then you're kind of, you can neutralize that. He's somebody who can run smooth and stop and start, rare acceleration, quickness, and he can catch with tacklers in his face. So for us, we have to make sure we handle him.
Yeah, and he's one of the best. And I actually asked Jaylen Noel about this, and if he takes that personal. Had a few minutes with Jaylen Noel. We'll hear from him in a second, but let's keep talking about the special teams, the third phase, because I'll be honest, I don't know that I've felt more confident that the Texans are going to win a football game, especially a playoff game, than I do this game against the Patriots. And I have the utmost respect for Mike Vrabel, and I'll elaborate on kind of the history of Mike Vrabel and what I compare this to. But if you do think a team has the advantage and the team is more battle tested, a lot of times something that can either prevent you from making a game interesting as an inferior team, like what happened against the Chiefs last year, or prevent you from winning when you have more talent on offense and defense, it is special teams. And special teams in this round has been bad. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but let's just look close at this. And we saw last week, and I always emphasize, drink. It is a drinking game of mine, and it's going to be a drinking game with every game I cover. The Van Gundy theory. Say it with me. Don't ignore in victory what you would not ignore in defeat. Kaimi Fairbairn. I'm getting my haircut today before I go to practice, and I look up at the TV.
We in here talking about practice, and
the game is on. The Sports Center's on, and they're doing the bottom 5. And I see the Texans, and I'm like, "What? Oh, this is Kaimi Fairbairn's extra point." It was so bad that it was number 5 on the bottom 5. And we don't see Kyamie Fairbairn miss extra points, although we did last time that they played in the divisional round. And it was so bad that it was in the bottom 5. In that same game, you had Tommy Townsend. He shanked a 22-yard punt. Not ideal, especially if you're going to be in a close game and in a playoff game. And when you have a good returner like Marcus Jones, sometimes the punter starts to think a little bit. And that's where 22-yard shanks happen. You see the referee running up. You're like, stop, mother trucker, stop. And he keeps running. But just look at these Fairbairn stats in the last 2 divisional rounds. Kyamie Fairbairn is 3 of 6 on field goals in the last 2 divisional rounds. This climate is probably going to be worse than what it was in Baltimore, and it's going to be worse than what it was in Kansas City. There's going to probably be perhaps some precipitation. He also missed an extra point. And you can go specific on the kicks. At the end of the Ravens' first half, they actually had a chance to take the lead. Kyamie Fairbairn was, I think, short. I don't completely recall, but he was short on he missed a 46-yarder at the end of the second quarter. Against the Chiefs, at the end of the game, the Texans are trying to lower the lead from 11-8. Blocked. Low kick. After the Texans' best drive of the season, first play of the second half against the Chiefs, or first drive of the second half, first kick. He misses the extra point. So the Texans are down 1 instead of tying the game. It felt like it almost sucked the life out of the Texans. He's been ass in the divisional round. And when we've had the ongoing joke here and on SNL about cold weather Kyamie, I think it's a thing. And that centers around when it's cold, which is December, January, and what we've seen. He's been bad in the divisional round. So that's something to keep an eye on, and that's something that can be an equalizer, especially when you sprinkle that in with what we're talking about when it comes to the return game with Marcus Jones. There have also been plays on special teams that have really, really stuck out. Some good, some bad when it comes to the Texans special teams. So you had in Baltimore, Steven Sims had his only punt return touchdown as a Texan against the Ravens. It was the only touchdown that they scored. It made it a very interesting game. It tied the game up, and it gave the Texans some brief hope before Fairbairn missed the extra point. Last year against Kansas City, the entire tone was set because Kansas City had a long return. They fumbled. Chris Boyd threw his helmet, and then he pushed Frank Ross. They averaged, I think, over 30 yards a carry, 35 yards a return last week, our last season in the divisional round against Kansas City. Right off the top, special teams made an impact. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. It's something to not completely dismiss the special teams. And we did get some context clues last week that special teams, not great. So that's something that we need to keep an eye on. We'll hear from Jaylen Noel in a sec, who may be called upon to be a receiver. I asked him about his near catch last week. We'll hear what he had to say. But first, let's address the news that we already knew was going to happen. Nico Collins, he's out. He's not going to play. We knew this. This is not news to anyone. Nico Collins is out. He's not going to play. So the Texans are going to have to make do without Nico Collins. They're way more capable to do that this year than they've been in the past. But he's definitely their best. He's definitely their best offensive player. That's what they were saying. That's what they've been saying in New England. I would not disagree with it. Carlton Davis was asked about it, and this is what the cornerback had to say. Who, by the way, they've been blitzing a little bit with Carlton Davis, so that might be something to check out. This was Carlton Davis talking about Nico Collins being out, and this is from the NBC Boston.
They got good guys, good complimentary guys who can come in and make plays. Obviously, you've seen Christian Kirk had a big game last game, and they got the rookie. And they also got guys who can take the top off the coverage. So they got a lot of talent in the receiving room.
Yeah, and here's my thing with Carlton Davis. like the way that Carlton Davis is talked about now it's actually kind of fascinating. It's almost like a career revival for me, because I look at Carlton Davis and I just don't really. I remember the days when Carlton Davis was the guy that was getting picked on in Tampa Bay, and then he goes to Detroit last year. You saw him pick off CJ Stroud a couple of times, but I always thought Carlton Davis was the guy that you seeked out. That's what the vibe was in Tampa. He's playing his best football the last 2 years. He's still in his 20s. It happens. We see it at the quarterback position. We see it at corner. But I just kind of think that of all the possibilities, that Carlton Davis could be the guy that gets got on a big play. Christian Gonzalez is obviously a baller. They can be a lot more creative with him now. I think most of his attention would have been dedicated to Nico Collins. That frees him up. But Carlton Davis, I don't know when Carlton Davis became a good player, but the way that he's talked about now is just so much different than when he was with the Tampa Bay Bucks. Let's hear from Jaylen Noel. Jaylen Noel there was a time where he was like so close to breaking one, and in the last few weeks, it just feels like Jaylen Noel has been kind of bottled up. I talked to Jaylen Noel, got his mindset. Here's a couple minutes with Jaylen Noel, as special teams are going to be huge, and he's the guy that can really, really make a play in that area.
Just your mindset heading into New England. I'm sure you grew up watching the Patriots back in the day. How cool is it to be able to, in your rookie season, get to go where this franchise has never gone out there?
It's a blessing and another opportunity to go prove ourselves. This is a team we're a team that's been working all year to get to this point, and to go play a team with that type of playoff pedigree is special. So I'm excited to go out there.
Do you? Frank said he thinks they have the best return man in the league. Do you, like, as a competitor, say I want to go out there and be the best return man on that Sunday, or does it not really matter?
Oh yeah, I'm a competitor. So when I hear those type of things, it's just how I feel. But yeah, no, kudos to their return man. He's a great return man. But yeah, my mindset every time I step on the field, I feel like I'm the best.
Do you feel like you're close to breaking one? Frank said that, he said explosive play is something that he feels like y'all are so close to. It's just a matter of everybody doing their job. Do you feel like you're pretty close to doing that?
Yeah. I always feel like getting closer and closer. Those type of things, it takes everybody doing their job. Especially me just being able to break arm tackles and things like that. So it'll take a little bit of extra from me, but my guys have been doing their job all year blocking.
Was there anything that maybe you learned on your first playoff road trip, kind of similar environments that maybe you can take with you to New England?
Yeah, I mean, every play is going to be that much tighter and more contested. Everything you do, everybody's flying around, everything's on the line. Everybody's leaving it all out on the field. So, you're going to go out there and everything's going to be close. So you got to make those plays.
The play that you almost had a big play. Take us through the play. You and CJ almost connected in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it was just I was running a seam route. They got to like a Tampa 2 look, and he put the ball up there. And that's just a play I feel like I can come down with, and it will come down with in the future. And so, it was a good job by CJ with pressure in his face to get the ball out there. And like I said, just had to finish it next time.
And us Texans were pretty soft. We talk a lot about the New England weather. That's nothing to you, is it?
Nah. Being in Ames for 4 years, and then even KC my whole life, the weather it gets pretty hectic up there. You never know what you're gonna get, but yeah, no, it's just football weather.
What is the perfect football weather for you?
For me,
you could lay it out. You could pick the climate in Madden. What is it?
I mean, I'd probably go like mid 40s, maybe low 50s. Anywhere around that temperature, whether it's cloudy or sunny. Cloudy day, I mean, I don't mind either. It's probably better for seeing the football. So yeah.
All right, there you go. That's Jaylen Noel. A big factor. I mean, Steven Sims scored a touchdown in the divisional round. Who saw that coming? I don't even know what kind of odds you could have got on that. You probably could have bet $10 and gotten close to a few hundred with that. Jaylen Noel's one of those guys. I mean, he's one of those guys that can make plays. We're talking a lot about Marcus Jones. Maybe there's some motivation there. I do think special teams are a concern for me. a concern for me. And just because I think the Texans are the more talented team. And I look at this whole situation in the way that this thing could go. They've been awful in the divisional round with D'Amico. Now I know what D'Amico will say. Different year, different team. Yeah. When it's the same kicker, and it's not like there's a new game plan. He has a new snapper, but you've relied on him at a historic level. So you're even more dependent on Kaimi Fairbairn than you've ever been. It's you tied the record for the most field goals in a season. He clearly doesn't like cold weather. He was wearing pretty much mittens last week. And he's on the ESPN bottom 5. It's just something to keep an eye on, people. It's just something to keep an eye on. I'm still confident in this game, but it's something to keep an eye on. You got to be aware of this. The special teams. It's the biggest concern for me heading into this game. Now, the good news is that the special teams at times have been not just good, they've been great. Kaimi Fairbairn's been great. Like if you take the season, that's the good news. But they're gonna have their hands full. They're gonna have their hands full right off the top. And we'll see what Tommy Townsend and Kaimi Fairbairn do. But that's been a constant, and it would be a crying shame for D'Amico Ryans if this season became a waste. If they lose this game, the season's a waste. There's none of this kumbaya shit. You're basically on a treadmill. And sometimes I guess you can have some fun moments on a treadmill. Maybe they got one of those treadmills that has a fancy ass TV in front of it to where they can watch some sort of movie or something like that. But if you go another year, the divisional round, and you let Drake May cut the line when it comes to quarterbacks with CJ Stroud, then this season was a complete waste. And for the season to be a waste because of special teams would be a crying shame. But it is something that we at least need to acknowledge, and we need to keep an eye on 2 sleeps away from the game. Let's go to the chat here in the locker room.
Swarm.
Sir Wag says, greetings, brother. Hoping for this W on Sunday. Looking forward to seeing you at Spanky's next week. Who is your next man up? Dalton Schultz needs to show up. I think it's Jaden Higgins, it's Xavier Hutchinson, and it's the receivers without Nico Collins. I think that's it. By the way, shout out to everyone who came out to BB's today. It was a great time. We gave away some TriStar tickets. We're going to be at TriStar on the 30th. We're going to have some experiences to give away where you can meet some Texans players and some celebrities. We gave away some autographs today, courtesy of our friends at TriStar, our guy Jeff. So we'll have some more TriStar tickets. If you can make it, we'll give you the tickets. If you're going to go to the TriStar show, we'll give you the tickets. Can't pay for the parking. NRG is a little bit stingy on that, but we will give you the tickets. It's one of the best shows, and the collector's game has never been better. So look forward to seeing you at Spanky's, my friend. L says, I was low-key thinking Noel might pop off and that I don't see Chubb being able to do much against the Pats. Well, I think Jawar Jordan plays. I mean, if Jawar Jordan was very active in the locker room, not this locker room, that locker room, if he's hurt, he has a hell of a way of showing it because they shoot hoops back there. He and British Brooks were basically playing one-on-one. And not basically, they were playing one-on-one. So I think Jawar Jordan's good to go. The reports of like a significant high ankle sprain.
Hey, bro. Alpha Aaron here.
I don't think that they're there. It's not a Joe Mixon hip drop tackle type of vibe. Jawar Jordan's good to go. How much do they use him? Don't know. I think they probably like the Chubb and Woody combo.
Chubb and Woody.
But Jawar Jordan will be good to go. I would anticipate that he's going to be active along with Trent Brown and along with Nico Autry. So Nico's going to be the only guy that you're worried about. Rick says CJ staying in dink and dunk mode will make CJ better. I don't think he needs to be in dink and dunk mode. I think he just needs to not try to do too much. I think that's kind of the battle between CJ Stroud and the playoff battle is there's a difference between don't have to and not able to. And CJ Stroud talks about whenever he has a bad game, he says, well, the good news is the team picked me up, blah, 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 yada, yada. The good quarterbacks are the ones that are able to balance that. Like, I hate using Tom Brady as an example because that's the GOAT, but like Tom Brady would have games where he would dink and dunk. He'd have games where they would throw a lot, where they would run a lot. CJ was just trying to do too much last week, and I don't know that he's capable of it. I don't know that he's capable of doing some of the things that he was trying to do, but he's definitely capable of making some elite throws on third down. So that's something to keep an eye on. Marcus says, Landry, I couldn't make it out there today. I really want TriStar tickets. Want to bring my friend. Is that cool? Yeah, let us know. We'll give you TriStar tickets. If you're at Spanky's next week, Sharpstown location, perhaps a preview towards the historic AFC Championship appearance, we got you covered. Or if you're just going to show up on Saturday, when during the show, we'll be able to give you tickets there as well. Maybe leave them in will call because we'll be there and we'll be giving away some experiences. So yeah, do you want the TriStar tickets? Let us know. We'll be there. Spanky's, or we can just leave them for you at the window. We got the old school tickets, the paper tickets too, which I very much appreciate. Renee says the Patriots fans act like the Texans is a cakewalk. I think that's kind of a straw man. And I'm sure you can go online and you can see some trash talk, but I actually look at the vibe and the guys that I feel like have the best grasp of the Patriots, it doesn't feel like they're overly confident. And I think the best place to get the pulse of things, and I'm actually going to be on this radio station the morning of the game. So the Sports Hub out there in Boston, it's actually the top radio station, one of the top radio stations in the country. I'm going to be on there the morning of the game. But their afternoon show, Zolak and Bertrand, they had Albert Breer on, and they were talking about the game, and I don't – maybe I was a little bit too critical of the Patriots when they had Tom Brady, and you kind of thought that there was like a homer, a cocky vibe. Or maybe that's just the life you should live when you have Tom Brady as your quarterback, because I'm listening to all these radio stations, the WEIs, the Sports Hub, and I don't feel it's not the same vibe as Brady, and it's probably why it is one of the top media markets, because I think they do a really good job, which I can respect, of being objective. And here was a clip that they put out on the Sports Hub. I actually put the link in the bio to their X because I'm gonna play a couple of clips. But this is Bertrand breaking it down with Breer, and I guess there's a caller pissed off at him for, I guess, not being a homer.
Let's go to Jack. He's in Framingham. He's got issues with me and Breer.
Yeah, I got just two things, Bertrand and Breer. Yeah. Bertrand, you're an accomplished analyst. I'll give you that. You're accomplished. But the fact that you had a smirk on your face the whole time you were ripping the Patriots says a lot about the pleasure you were deriving from that.
Like, I picked Houston to win this game.
And Bertrand.
Me? I was smiling, ripping the Patriots?
Breer,
okay,
You said Breer at the end of it. You said Bertrand at the beginning.
I co-signed. Yes, absolutely, Jack.
Mark.
Fire away.
Again with the small hands.
Hate to bring this up. When he was coming out, there was a lot made of his hand size.
What is it with you and size? Unbelievable. What does the quarterback have to do to prove he's a legit NFL quarterback? Never mind the size of his hands.
That was a pretty sensitive call.
Jason in Missouri. Hey, Jason.
Bert, I got to call BS on the 7 all-pro suggestions for the Texans. Name one on offense that they have that's worthy of it.
The Houston defense, it looks to me 15 Broncos, 13 Seahawks, like that sort of talent. 7 guys got all-pro mention. 7.
In the absence of that, you're saying 2/3 of their defense got all-pro consideration. Secondly, the linebacker core
I said all
for the
7 on
Texans.
defense. All 7. All 7.
Name one on offense. Name one on offense.
That wasn't what I said.
That wasn't what he said, though.
Okay, then move on. The linebacker core from the Texans, every single one of them weighs less than 230 pounds.
Okay. All right, one more. Jason in New Hampshire.
Bert, what's your prediction for the game with the score? And then can you just elaborate on essentially Stroud's rookie year was the same as Drake May's year this year? Thank you.
This team could be an all-time team with a defense like this if their offense was just 10% better.
And Stroud was essentially, as a rookie, what May has been this year. Like, Stroud was really, really good as a rookie. Yeah, he was excellent as a rookie. I don't think anybody would argue that. The sensitivity.
How dare you?
I was on the show for 45 minutes, and the last 5 minutes have been picking that 45 minutes apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, there are some sensitive fans, but I think their guys are breaking it down right there. So like the notion that there's like a cockiness in Boston, I don't think so. Like the guys that I go to for like objective coverage, they don't seem to be like just sitting there saying 100% that the Patriots are going to win this game. I don't think they feel that way. And we'll hear what they got to say at the other station, but I'm not feeling that. And what makes Mike Vrabel good is kind of what makes this game look good for the Texans, in my opinion. Because I think Mike Vrabel's a good coach, and I think Mike Vrabel does a really good job of maximizing teams to their full potential. And I look at the 2020 and 2021 Titans. Both those teams won the division. One of those was actually the 1 seed. But they didn't have success in the playoffs. I think there was a wild card loss to the Ravens, if I'm not mistaken, and then there was a divisional round loss to the Bengals, who ended up going to the Super Bowl. Those teams had no business being the 1 seed. And that's kind of how I look at the Patriots. They took advantage, like the 2020 and 2021 Titans. They took advantage of bad division, and right now they're playing with house money. They're ahead of schedule. Like the Patriots are going to be back in this situation. Like their arrow is pointing up. Like this might be like I don't want to say the last effort for Josh Allen and company, but this is the clock is ticking on that core, and they're going to become even more Josh Allen dependent than they have been, or they're going to have to figure something out and put more weapons around him. Like they traded for Brandon Cooks, and that's like revive their offense. That's cool, but like that kind of tells you how bad their offense was. But the best Vrabel seasons, he maximizes them, and then in the playoffs, it looks like they wet the bed, but really they really had no business in that situation. That's kind of how I look at this Patriots team. And that's how the Texans should look at it too. They're more battle tested. So I think Vrabel's done a very good job. I think it's very similar to what he did in 2020 and 2021 against the Titans. When eventually, what is the Cinderella line? Something about the pumpkin carriage or whatever the fuck that is. But that's what I think happened. Let's hear what they have to say in WEI about this game. This is the afternoon show. I think our guy Ted Johnson, who I used to work with at 610, is on here. Let's hear what they're saying, because there's all these claims that they're being homers in Boston. I don't see it.
Why was everybody so afraid? Yeah, I'm using radio afraid. No one's going to die, but radio afraid. Scared of the Houston Texans 6 weeks ago. Why were they the nightmare scenario? Why were they the worst case scenario? And now I don't hear as much angst, even though I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because it seems like some inside the locker room want to correct this narrative. I believe the offensive line is coming off its worst game of the season, especially that left side that saw Will Campbell and Jared Wilson really struggle. Why do I not hear sky is falling scenarios anymore? In fact, sounds to me like most people are picking the Patriots to win on Sunday. What has changed in the last month and a half or so?
Two things. One, the offensive line got healthier, because back at the time everybody said, OMG, I don't want to face the Texans. You had no Will Campbell. In fact, you had Vidarian Lowe, and you even had Ben Brown subbing in for Jared Wilson, though some of us think Ben Brown might make, in this particular instance, a steadier option at left guard. And we all know that Morgan Moses at any moment could turn into a pumpkin or explode or just completely fall apart like the Steve Harvey Lego that Gronk spiked on New Year's a couple of years ago. And two, the Patriots defense, not the Patriots offense. We all have a long-standing faith that Josh McDaniels and Drake May and Ramondre and Steph Diggs will find a way to score just enough points to win. But we feel really good about the Patriots defense going against the mess of a Texans offense that is likely, not definitively, likely to not feature Nico Collins on Sunday.
I think that's fair. I think that's a fair assessment about the Texans offense. I think that's a fair assessment. But I also think there might be some recency bias with that. with what we saw with CJ Stroud. Now, I think the CJ Stroud vibe has completely flipped the mood of this game. Although I did see ESPN, all of them picked the Texans, but I think the CJ Stroud recent performance has completely flipped the vibe of this game. And there's a lot of people who saw that and said, dude, this guy sucks. Like they're winning despite their quarterback. A lot of people aren't watching Texans games over the course of the season. And I don't think CJ Stroud was phenomenal this year, but if you go on national TV and you put together that performance, I think it kind of lends itself to concern. And I think there should be concern with how that looked. We got to see how CJ Stroud recovers. And I also think there's a certain manner in which things are said with CJ Stroud, whether it's the coaching staff that always minimizes things or the way in which CJ Stroud approaches his rough performances, that I think we need to talk about on the back end. Also, there is something that I can assure you that the Texans have made note of. We'll talk about that. First, though, a word from the greatness of Fanatics Live. Hey, it's Landry Locker here. Shout out to Fanatics Live for sponsoring the video. And Fanatics Live, it's fantastic. They are reviving the collector's game like no other. It's easy to collect on Fanatics Live. Whether you're a NFL fan like myself, an NBA fan, MLB, Pokemon, they got something for everyone. Whether you're a beginner or an expert, it's awesome. It's thrilling. It's fun. It's such a fun process. We all remember opening packs of cards, but now there's instant rips where you get the instant satisfaction. Every single pack has a professionally graded card. I'll take you through my experience in a second. And the beauty of it is you're not stuck with it. It goes immediately in your collection. We'll get to that a little bit later. And they also have breaks. You don't have to buy the entire box, whether it's an auction, whether it's a spin. You get a team, and every player from that team that gets opened in the break, which you can watch live, you get those cards. I got some cards. I got a chance for you to win. It's the most interactive way to collect cards. Fanatics Live is absolutely fantastic. And I will take you through my experience on Fanatics Live when I partook in it, my first of many. So I started out by getting in a break. And this was a stash or pass. This is one of the cool features. So I got to spin. I landed on the Cowboys. Now, do I stash the Cowboys and take all the Cowboys cards in Houston? That's probably not a good idea. So I decided to pass and spin the wheel again. So I click pass, and then we spin the wheel again. And wherever this lands, I'm going to get every card that is opened of that team in the break, which I can watch live. I got the Steelers. No harm, no foul. Can't win them all. Then I wanted to get an instant rip. I wanted to get some instant satisfaction. So I got my instant rip pack, and immediately the Bo Nix PSA professionally graded 9 appears in my collection. Now I can stash it or I can sell it on Fanatics Live. I decided to keep it and see what happens in the playoffs. Then I decided, okay, well, I want to get in a break, and I want to get the Texans. Let's add some Texans to the collection. This is the beauty of this. You can see all the stuff that they have to offer. The vendors on there are awesome. You can follow them. You can interact with them. That's a lot of time. It's almost like a whole sports collecting community. But I decided I wanted to get some Texans in the collection. So I decided I was going to do the auction. So I scrolled down, $14. I got the Texans. You can see the cards right there. And I actually have them right here because they mailed them to me. You got the Jaylen Noel rookie. I got the Higgins rookie. Heck, I even got a Browns break, and I got a Shador Sanders rookie, and I got a Mason Graham autograph. I'm going to give you a chance to win these at an SNL gathering, but you can start your own collection right now on Fanatics Live. I promise you won't regret it. You can get a free pack with a graded or authenticated card. All you got to do is download the app with the link below and join your first stream. The card game has never been more fun. I promise you, you will not regret it. Shout out to Fanatics Live. They have completely changed the game. And it's awesome. And it's really good for vendors. Small card shops it's tough. Like, people aren't just going to small card shops, but when you go to the Fanatics Live, it's the small card shops. They're hosting the breaks, and their business is booming as a result of it. So Fanatics Live has done unbelievable things for the collection game. I was talking to my guy at TriStar, and we'll be at that show on Saturday. Again, we got tickets for you at Spanky's. We'll also have giveaways, exclusives, as well as autographs throughout. our appearances on SNL, but the Fanatics live, it is a really good thing. So you should definitely check that out. Let's go back to the chat. Mark has something to say.
Swarm.
He says, why does Big Boy sound like Stoots? Haha. Bertrand, I think you're just saying he looks like Stoots. Let's be serious. You just saw a fat white guy and you said he sounded like Stoots. So I'm going to hit you with the RC.
Race car.
Not all fat white guys sound alike. I wonder if there is some recency bias with the turnover thing. And I'm talking about two very important guys who will likely have the ball in their hands a lot throughout the game. CJ Stroud. Now, we saw CJ Stroud last game turn the ball over a lot. Not really the norm at all. But concerning nonetheless. But as I just mentioned, it does feel like the entire vibe, the entire analysis of the game has kind of shifted as a result of that dog-butted performance by CJ Stroud. And it was a dog-butted performance, regardless of what Nick Caley has to say. I'm always a little bit amused that it's very clear, like if you listen to what CJ Stroud says and you listen to how the coaches say, that there's a tread lightly manner in which CJ Stroud is discussed and he's talked about, to where you probably can't coach him as hard as a lot of the quarterbacks in the NFL get coached. Like he's mentioned that the delivery matters from Nick Caley, and then when he has a performance like that, they're not worried about it and all that. They kind of try to minimize it, and I think that's just part of the game, knowing your players and adjusting. But Nick Caley insists that he's not too worried about it. I do think there's something that perhaps could reemerge, and it's not CJ Stroud. I'll tell you what it is in a second. But first, let's hear what Nick Caley has to say.
Generally speaking, you look at the totality of the season, I've been very pleased with how he's handled. I've got a lot of confidence in him. He's taken care of the ball throughout the year and made strides in that area. And he'll continue to. He's very, cares a lot, works hard at those things. And I think you look at the entire totality of the season here, I think he's done a really, really nice job of that. And playing within the system, not trying to press and do anything other than, operating and making plays as they come to him. So confident in him, got a lot of faith in him, and we've had a good week of practice. We just got to keep that going.
Yeah, you got to keep that going. Now, I think it's obvious that CJ Stroud doesn't turn the ball over like that. The interesting thing that I want to keep an eye on that has kind of disappeared this year is the fumbling of Ramondre Stevenson. And Ramondre Stevenson this year, he's only fumbled twice. But in his career, he has 17 fumbles. And that's a hell of a lot. And there was at one point, there was a stretch where he had 8 fumbles in 18 games, which is insane. 8 fumbles in 18 games is insane for a running back. And that was kind of his issue. Now it's been fixed. I'm sure that there's been an emphasis with Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels. He's never had this good of coaching. I think he's a good back, but sometimes that stuff will reappear at the worst time. And we know how the Texans are when it comes to swarming, when it comes to making tackles, when it comes to forcing turnovers and forcing takeaways. When a running back has fumbled that much in this situation, it's something to keep an eye on. So we're talking a lot about the CJ Stroud turnovers because it happened recent, and we're not really talking about Ramondre Stevenson for a large chunk of his career. That was basically the scouting report. This guy fumbles a lot. I think that's something to keep an eye on, and that could be something that flips. So the special teams is something to watch, but also the turnovers. Obviously, we're going to be watching Stroud closely, but I think Ramondre Stevenson in this situation is something to keep an eye on too. 17 fumbles is a hell of a lot. He's only had 2 this year, so we're not talking about it too much, but let's keep an eye on that because I think it's something to very much keep an eye on when it comes to that. And I think the Patriots, I don't know how they're going to, about conventionally, how they're going to run the ball. But unconventionally is something to keep an eye on when it comes to Drake May using his legs. And the Texans have been kind of prone to running backs using their legs. So that's something to keep an eye on. That's also a major talking point up there in Boston. Can the Patriots run unconventionally? I saw a crazy stat today And this is from Pardon My Take, PFT commenter. And I know a lot of times I like the way they do like the balance of shtick and good information, which is kind of the style in which me and Cody kind of adapt. Although we're probably a little more traditional broadcaster-y than them, just based on the backgrounds. But the stat that they put out, sometimes they put out some stats that are just crazy. Sometimes they have the bit stats, kind of like I do with D'Amico Ryans is 3-0 against white quarterbacks in the playoffs. But the Drake May stat that they put out is actually kind of alarming. It's interesting. I don't know what to make of this, but Drake May is 36th in the NFL on 3rd and 6th the last 2 seasons. And this is with 10 attempts or less. Drake May, who's one of the most accurate passers in the league, he's near the top of the league when it comes to deep balls, despite not having great receivers. He's 36th in the NFL on 3rd and 6th the last 2 seasons. You combine that with the Texans defense, 3rd and 6 is a pretty common down. Drake May is 36th. That's pretty interesting from PFT commenter. I think that's actually really crazy. Could there be some bulletin board material for the Texans? I thought this was interesting. Keyshawn Butte said this about the Texans secondary.
What are the toughest defenses that you've personally had to prepare for?
I wouldn't say one of the toughest. At the end of the day, we know we're gonna get man coverage. Got to beat it. It's that simple.
All right, so he said that, and it seems kind of harmless when he says it, but you know how the internet is. It gets aggregated, stuff gets said, and I can tell you I'm 100% authority. I'm there every day. I take in as much information as I can. I listen to what everyone says. I go in the locker room. I keep my head down. They know about that quote. The Texans know about that quote. Now, does it matter? Like, is Derek Stingley and Kamari Lassiter automatically going to be awesome because Keyshawn Butte said that? I would say probably not. I would say probably not. I would say that was going to happen regardless, but they are aware of it. And a lot of times when you have some mean mother truckers on defense and you give them an extra reason to get pissed off, especially in an environment like that, more times than not, it kind of benefits them. And I can 100% promise you, I'm not going to sit here and act like it was like brought up in a meeting, but if I had to bet and I had the imaginary gun to my head, I would say, based on educated guess, I would say it was brought up, and I would make dinner plans if I had that imaginary gun to my head. I think they're very, very aware of what he said. And I've seen like the clip of Butte beating Stingley last year against the Patriots. Stingley gets beat every once in a while, and that did happen. But, I mean, I don't know how significant that is. What was the score of that game? It was a complete assing. Now, Joe Mixon was a big part of it. Hell, Dameon Pierce had the FU run. But it's a completely different team, a completely different situation. Drake May was making his first start at that time. So I don't put a lot of stock in that. I actually put more stock in what we saw from the Patriots offensive line last game. I don't know how, like, of all the things that we saw in the last playoff game, the CJ Stroud turnovers are concerning, especially the manner. I say the why as opposed to the what. The manner in which those turnovers happened, it might not be common, but it's something that you definitely need to make note of and at least acknowledge that was a little bit crazy. But what about Will Campbell? Like, Will Campbell is a rookie left tackle. Rookie left tackles struggle no matter what. Rookie left tackles are going to go through times where they struggle. This guy had an injury. We thought it was perhaps a season-ending injury. He comes back against the Chargers. He looks like shit. He looks like shit. Like a couple of the reps that he had, they look like shit. And it was like today on SNL, we got a comment. Well, grade CJ's performance without the turnovers. Okay, I mean, like, what are we doing here? But is this really going to be like some sort of get right game for a left tackle who it's going to be up and down, and he's going against Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson? I think that's something to keep an eye on. I don't think you just sweep that under the rug. Like, we're not talking about some all-pro left tackle that looked the way that he did. We're talking about a guy that's going against a better squad, and He's going against a better team. He's going against a better scheme. Better team, better scheme. So I don't know that you really dismiss what Will Campbell did the other day. I know he's going to have like the honky tonk quotes and all that. And I like Will Campbell. I like the makeup. But you're going to struggle as a rookie left tackle. You're coming back, you're trying to find your groove, and you get mixed like that. I would, if I were the Patriots, I would be concerned about the offensive line. Now their defense looked good against the Chargers. But who doesn't in the playoffs? Who doesn't in the playoffs? We saw the Texans last year. Justin Herbert threw more interceptions than he ever has in a game. This year they have 250 offensive line combinations. I think the Patriots are a very well-coached team, and they were able to take advantage of that. And I do think there's a possibility that they could overcome the Texans offense and make them look bad. And that's the other advantage that I think the Patriots have. Josh McDaniels versus Nick Caley. And Nick Caley looked up to Josh McDaniels' dad. He probably looks up to Josh McDaniels now. And Josh McDaniels is able to get to handle stuff. You say what you want about Josh McDaniels, and I damn sure wouldn't want him to be my head coach. He does look like he's added 15 years of his life since he was with the Raiders. But Josh McDaniels is an awesome offensive coordinator. And a lot of times when you're looking at coaching staffs with the Patriots, like you minimize it, it's like because he had Tom Brady. Like Bill O'Brien comes here as the offensive coordinator. Well, you had Tom Brady, brother. You had Randy Moss. You had Wes Welker. I think a lot of times that plays off, but Josh McDaniels was awesome with Tom Brady. Matter of fact, there was a little bit of a lag when he left and he came back. It was kind of like a Brady not a revival, but he was better when he had Josh McDaniels. Mac Jones was arguably the best rookie in the NFL when Josh McDaniels was there, to the point where Josh McDaniels actually earned a second opportunity as a head coach as a result of his work with Mac Jones. People forget that. Like Josh McDaniels was a disaster in Denver as a head coach. He coaches Tom Brady. That's not enough to get a head coaching gig, but the work that he did with Mac Jones, that got him another opportunity. And then Drake May, after his rookie season, Josh McDaniels goes back, and Drake May is playing MVP caliber ball. So I don't think you can dismiss the advantage that they have at offensive coordinator with Josh McDaniels. Nick Caley, better. The quarterback has kind of held him back a little bit in recent weeks. The performance of CJ Stroud, but Josh McDaniels is an awesome offensive coordinator. He's got examples in three ways. Like that right there is that is a prime example. The work with Tom Brady, you might want to dismiss. Mac Jones, arguably the best rookie in that class as a result of working with Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels leaves. Mac Jones kind of falls off in New England. And then you have him come back, and Drake May is playing MVP caliber ball with him. So I think that that Josh McDaniels deserves a hell of a lot of credit. And let's be honest, Nick Caley, he might jock Josh McDaniels, but he can't hold his jock when it comes to being an offensive coordinator. He can't hold his jock. He might jock him, but he can't hold his jock when it comes to being an offensive coordinator. We just got to be honest with ourselves about that. So that's a big advantage right there. That's a big advantage right there. The OC matchup. And they know each other very, very well. I don't know if that factors in, but that's a big effing advantage for the Patriots. Josh McDaniels has been there, done that, and he's done a good job of getting the most of multiple quarterbacks. So respect to Josh McDaniels. I know a lot of people don't like Josh McDaniels, but Josh McDaniels is a really, really good player. This is world-class hating right here. Black Eighth Element says playing Jets and Dolphins twice a year. Yeah, MVP worthy. That's world-class hating, brother. I mean, I think you can minimize what the team is, but yeah, it is. It probably is MVP worthy. So did you think that Josh Allen didn't deserve MVP last year? Like, let's not be dumbasses. And you don't have your real name up there, so I feel like I can say it, and I appreciate you very much. Let's not be stupid. Josh Allen played the Dolphins and Jets last year. Was that not MVP worthy? Let's not be stupid. Let's not be stupid about it. Like, come on. Yeah, Josh Allen did it. So did he not deserve MVP? Let's be serious. Drake May played MVP caliber ball this year. Just like CJ Stroud. Like CJ Stroud, his rookie season, the historic rookie season, not the most awesome division, I would say. But yes, he did play MVP caliber ball. Let's not be serious. Yeah, L bring it up. You say that like we don't play the Titans twice a year. That's just dumbass stuff right there. No offense. You're a spider, so I feel like I can say that to you. No disrespect, Black Eight. But that's crazy. That's crazy. If Cody said that, I would call him a dumbass. So don't take it personal. Let's hear Mike Vrabel talking about the matchup with the Texans defense. He's already said that he thinks it's the best defense that they're going against. But here is Mike Vrabel talking about the matchup that the Patriots face with that Texans defense and what they need to do.
No, man, we want to try to be as precise as possible. We haven't talked one time about being perfect since I've been here. You know, we're aiming for success and not perfection. Nobody's going to be perfect. We're going to need to be precise. We know how critical taking care of the football is in every game, especially against a team that's plus 16 in the turnover margin. But I've never once said that we have to be perfect at anything. No, man, we want to try to be.
Yeah, and I don't think you have to be perfect because I think the Texans offense can kind of equalize it. But I do think the D-line versus the O-line it's a massive advantage. I think the Patriots have a massive advantage at offensive coordinator. I think the D-line versus the O-line is a massive advantage. Patriots special teams, they have that advantage. And then you see how CJ Stroud bounces back. I think the QB advantage is pretty obvious too. I think the Patriots, Drake May is better than CJ Stroud right now. That's just the bottom line. Now, he doesn't have the defense. He might not even have as good of weapons, even without Nico Collins. But yeah, the QB advantage goes to the Patriots. But we're talking about an all-time defense. Peyton Manning was terrible for the Broncos in 2015. You can win without the QB advantage in this instance. And it's not like you're rolling out Brock Osweiler. You have CJ Stroud, who you feel really, really good about. There's a middle ground between the criticism and the extreme defense. And hopefully he finds that middle ground because I think he's being graded on a curve. Now, the other thing that I do think that CJ Stroud needs to do, and I've talked about this 100 times, he needs to use his legs. He hasn't been using his legs. And we talk about the quote coddling and the way in which things are discussed with CJ Stroud. I think nothing is more apparent than the way Nick Caley talks about CJ Stroud. Again, 20 yards or more in 6 of 8 games, 13 in the second quarter of the game he left against New England. And in the 6 games since, he has 20 yards total. You'll watch the games, you can tell he's a little bit scared to run the ball. Here's Nick Caley talking about that, and it's just crazy how much they minimize this.
No, there's been no change, and I have all the faith in the world. I mean, I think was asked that a couple weeks ago. I mean, there's no change or anything like that. I think he's playing with, he plays confident and has full, control of what we're doing and stuff like that. So he makes good decisions and happy with him.
Yeah, it hasn't. There's been a difference with the legs. There has been. And I don't know if that's something that's 100% necessary. I think Drake May is going to have to. And that's the other thing. Drake May has to. I see no scenario where Drake May doesn't not have to play really, really well in order to win this game. We can see a scenario where CJ Stroud doesn't have to play phenomenal for the Texans to win this game. It's very well laid out. And it'll also be interesting to see what the Woody Marks encore looks like and how they're able to run the rock. But it's easy, as we talk about all these scenarios, advantages, and all that shit, it's easy to see a scenario where the Texans win without CJ Stroud being phenomenal. Can't be god-awful, but he was at times, not all the time, but at times last week, and they were still able to win. Drake May kind of has to be good. It's not quite Josh Allen in Buffalo in that current layout, but he has to be good. And they haven't faced a team like this Texans team. They haven't. They haven't faced a defense like this. And they haven't faced a team this mean. And there's a lot of trends. We talked about the Steelers last week. The Texans were favored in that game. Yeah, they've never won a playoff road game. They've never won a divisional game. Well, they've never been favored. This is the second lowest line that they've had. I think it's at 2.5, 3 with the Patriots. They've been double-digit underdogs in the divisional round the 6 previous times. You look at the lines. It was 10 and 9.5 and higher the last 2 weeks, the previous or 2 seasons that we mentioned with D'Amico Ryans. So it's different. It's a different thing. The thing that I think matters the most from the previous 2 seasons is the special teams, which is how we started this video. I think the special teams does matter. Miami Fairbairn and cold weather, 3-6 in the divisional round, just missed an extra point in a comical fashion to where he was on ESPN's top bottom 5. You're very dependent on him as a result of the offense. I think that's something to keep an eye on. But like the history of Bill O'Brien in the divisional round and Coobs and all that, I don't know how relevant that is. It's about as relevant as talking about Tom Brady. It's about as relevant as talking about Tom Brady. There's some things that are relevant, and there's some things that are irrelevant. Like imagine if you put up a stat of the Patriots' record in the divisional round, and it's going to be all Belichick and Brady during the best sports dynasty, arguably, that we've ever seen. What the fuck does that matter in this instance? It doesn't. So that it's almost the same thing when you start laying out divisional round, and especially when you factor in how heavy underdogs the Texans were in those situations. It doesn't matter. There's some things that do matter. There's some things that just don't. So like that history doesn't matter. I think both of these teams are well coached. I think the Texans as a core of what they're at, they're more battle tested. And it feels like the Patriots are playing with house money. I think Mike Vrabel has led this team to overachieving. And we can minimize the schedule. Yeah, it's a thing, especially when you talk about the playoffs. But let's just be serious. The Patriots are going to be back here. They're starting something. They're starting something. It's kind of like where the Texans were in year 1 with D'Amico. This is year 1 with Mike Vrabel. And he's got them on the right track. Now, they lost in the divisional round, and they got humbled by the Baltimore Ravens. And the Texans at this point, despite going on the road, they need to be the team to do the humbling. This goes back to C.J. Stroud can't let someone cut the line. D'Amico Ryans can't let someone cut the line. The Dan Campbell quote last year, it's hard to get back. It's very hard to get back. The things that the Texans have controlled have given them this opportunity. The things that they can't control have kind of gone their way to where it's one of those opportunities that may never happen again. Not laid out this perfect. And we're talking about looking ahead. Who would you rather play, the Broncos or the Bills? Well, you're either going to host Josh Allen, who you've had success against, which that could be tough, or you're going to go to Denver and face the Broncos. Neither one of those are going to be easy games. The confidence level is not going to be near as high as it is here. But if I would have told you before the season, I'm pulling what my pops always says. Whenever me and my pops go to a game, whether it was growing up, it's always like at halftime, if the team is down, it's, well, what if I would have told you we'd be down by 10 and blah, 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 blah. What if I would have told you at the start of the season, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes would be sitting on their ass watching you in the playoffs, and your path towards getting where you want to go would be beating a Steelers team that's lucky to be in the playoffs with the ghost of Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, beating Drake May in his second season in a team that is not battle tested, has a crappy offensive line and moderate weapons, although it's a good football team, and then either beating Josh Allen, hosting the AFC Championship game, or going on the road and facing Bo Nix in Denver, what would you say? You would probably say, shut up, that's ridiculous. How much weed are you smoking?
High-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
And the answer would probably be a lot, no matter what I said. But you would think that was crazy. That's the opportunity that the Texans have right now. That's where they're sitting, and that's how things are with the Texans. It's laid out for you. It doesn't always happen. Last year, they didn't have any receivers. They didn't have a nickel. They were banged up. This year, you're without Nico Collins, but your defense is full strength. You have more weapons, and you're the more battle-tested squad. We don't know whether Baltimore and Kansas City are going to be back. We anticipate that the Patriots are only going to get better during this window with their coach and quarterback. So the opportunity is here. The other good news they have is, as good of an OC as Josh McDaniels is, he's damn sure not getting any more head coaching jobs. So he's probably gonna be connected to Drake May from now till the end of his football career. He's not going anywhere. This is a hell of an opportunity. There's a lot of things to keep an eye on, which we've covered, to be concerned about. There's a lot of things to be optimistic about, but it's a massive opportunity. Massive opportunity. Let's go to the chat. My man Tony has something to say.
Swarm.
Tony says, if CJ goes out, Davis comes in and win it all. CJ is shook, Landry. Yeah, I'm not calling for Davis Mills. But he did look shook, and it will be interesting to see how CJ bounces back. And I don't think you're alone in this notion, although there's probably some Stroud fans that would question this. But yeah, his body language is terrible. His press conferences are very suspect when he says that he played well. And there's I don't want to say it's a walking on eggshells, but it's definitely a very, very, very calculated manner in which they discuss what CJ Stroud does or doesn't do. Like, Will Anderson doesn't have 2 roughing the passer penalties that extend drives, 2 offsides penalties, and then a sack and a half, and after the game go up to the podium and say, yeah, I think I played well. That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. 0 chance that happens. But that's what happens with the QB. Good thing that the Texans got the good surroundings. So it'll be an interesting thing to watch. It's gonna be a fun game. It's gonna be a fun ass weekend. It's been a long ass week. I'll be honest with y'all. It's been a long ass short week. I've enjoyed it. We've been grinding our ass off. Myself and Cody. The Monday night game, then we got Sunday. We're getting stuff ready. We got the TriStar show. We got Spankies next week. We're streaming multiple times a day per the use. We're going to practice every day. And we're giving you the best content possible. And that is a 365-day thing. And it's going to be a fun time. Maybe the season ends in San Francisco, which we'll be at. The Combine we'll be at. We got you covered. We look forward to seeing you at the TriStar show. Spankies next week. Will we be looking back at the season, or will we be looking ahead to the AFC Championship game? It's going to be a fun time. Again, shout out to Fanatics Live for all they do. The link is in the description. I think you'll very much enjoy the experience. I'm probably going to go get in a break right now. And when I say that, I'm being serious. I'm probably going to go get in a break right now. It's a great thing. TriStar, shout out to them. Shout out to Sleeper. Again, I'm going with greater than Hutchinson yards, greater than Stover yards, which is low, and greater than Josh Allen 1.5 touchdown passes. That's my heavy wager this week. If you want to tail, if you've never played Sleeper, download the app, use the promo code LOCKER, 100% up to $100 A good time to be alive. No matter what happens with this game, always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Let's go. It's going to be a fun weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize. Every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in the headlock. Localize every time. Can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days. Opinions to give. We got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number 1. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's